In today's video, we're going to take 4 brand new Chanter reeds fresh out of the box and see what we need to do to make them playable. Stay tuned. Well, hello everybody. I'm Willis Bagpiper, and on this channel I make videos to make you a stronger and more confident piper. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Like the video, comment below with any thoughts you have, and be aware I do give Skype lessons if you want more personalized instruction. Now, let's get on with the video. I think we've all experienced the frustration of brand new reeds not going the way you want them to. So today, I'm taking these 4 reeds. I have not played these in any way. I'm going to open this, and we're going to have a go and see what it takes to make these playable. Now, all of these should be easy medium strength. I've seen a couple of charts for bagpipe reed strength. The first one I saw put easy at around 28 to 32, medium at 32 to 36, and hard anything over 36. With some of these newer pressure gauges and everything, it looks now that it might be 25 to 30 is considered easy, 30 to 35 is considered medium, and 35 and above is considered difficult or hard. I don't know if the scale really matters, but these should be easy medium, which means they should be right at like 30 to 32 when they're warmed up and going. Now do be aware, when you first go on these, they're probably going to be quite a bit harder. They're dry and they've not been played in quite some time. But the first thing we need to do is get our chanter prepared. So I have my Shepherd Blackwood chanter here, and it's covered in tape from its previous reed. I'm going to go ahead and take all of the tape off and clean it up. Now this is a Blackwood chanter, so I'm going to use my Dr. Boar oil to remove all of the adhesive residue. If this was a polypenco chanter or Delrin or whatever the plastics are, I'd use just a general purpose boar oil, a mineral oil. No reason to use expensive product like this. And I find these oils work better than adhesive removers like Goo Gone. I like starting this process with no tape on the chanter. That said, if you know historically every reed you've ever tried in your chanter needs tape, say on D or F or C, and it always needs a little, then you can go ahead and start with what you think the normal amount is. I like just bringing it in clear and fresh. Make sure to get all the adhesive out of the holes as well. And then to clean the standing oil off, I have my McCleanse here. I'll get the standing oil off the surface because I want the tape I'll be putting on here in just a moment to, well, stick. It's also a great time to clean your chanter a little bit because, you know, it can get kind of gross. If this was a polypenco chanter, you might do well to use even like some sort of disinfectant wipe like you'd wipe your counters or whatever with. But since this is Blackwood, I'm going to just stick with the McCleanse. The reeds themselves. Okay, I have 4 easy medium reeds here. And let's see how these are going. So the cane looks nice. I'm going to refrain from naming the brand in case they don't go well. This is not about trying to throw anyone under the bus. This is about trying to make these work. The first thing I like to do is actually label the reeds. I have just a mechanical pencil here, and I'm just going to lightly draw a number on each one of those. You can use a Sharpie or something softer if you want. I write quite lightly. I don't need to carve it in there. There's a 2. And I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's good to know which reed you're dealing with. Okay, so I have my reeds labeled. I'm ready to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is just test it by mouth. I'm going to blow just some air through the reed. I'm doing this to just get a little bit of hydration in the reed. I do have some water here if I feel the reed sounding particularly dry and I need to dunk it. But for now, we're just going to blow through it. Once I've blown through the reed for a few seconds, I'm going to give it a good solid blow. And when you do that, you should hear a staticky sound that clears into a nice solid tone, not a squeal. And if there's no static, then the reed is probably a bit of a dud. It seems, in my experience, that staticky sound, or kind of the crow if it was in the chanter itself, if it doesn't have any of that, the grace notes don't have any attack or bite. They don't have any cha to them. So let's blow through this and see what happens. That seems like a pretty good reed. You hear it. Okay, so read number 1's going pretty good so far. Let's go on read number 2. It's pretty stiff. This one's pretty easy. This feels more on an easy range, and I do have a pressure gauge right here, so we'll be getting strengths on all these. Number 1, I would say, is coming in at around 28-30. This one dry is coming in at, I don't know, 45. It's pretty stout. And I'm not hearing much of any crow, but I am hearing a clear tone. I'm going to go ahead and moisten this reed. And maybe this is a travesty, but these things, grow in like marshes and everything. So I'm going to just dunk the reed in water real quick. I didn't put the whole thing. The blades in and out. Shake out the extra water. Dry a little bit of the extra water off. Looking down this thing, it's super wide. It's pretty far open. I'm going to give it just a few squeezes to see if I can help massage this thing closed a little. So it's eased in a little bit. It still sounds pretty dry. I'm going to give it another little dunk. That's easing it up, but it's not giving it any of that static or crow. So we're going to put this one aside right now. On to number 3. Little bit of that static sound again, but again, going into a nice clear tone. Going to go ahead and dunk that, and again, it is really open. It shouldn't be more than, say, 1 millimeter apart, and this one may well be. Go ahead and again, I'm going to squeeze it a couple of times. So again, no staticky kind of crow sound on this. We're going to put this aside, and we're going to see what happens with number 4. So it's got the static sound, but it's going straight to a squeal. Now, certain ridge cut reeds I find do this, and they still play great. I don't necessarily say it's a bad reed, but this one has a much more normal-sized opening for the air to get through. So it's kind of going to that dog whistle range. So we're going to start with reeds 1 and 4 here and see how they do. So I've got my chanter. I'm going to go ahead and stick in this reed. The wrapping's coming off. This would be a good time to re-wrap it with some waxed hemp. It's across the room, so I'm just going to keep it like this right now. Seat it, and it should be seated pretty firmly. Like I'm picking up the reed. If you don't want any air coming through this, so don't shove it in there too hard, but it should be in pretty firm. So that's pretty nice. So this again is reed number 1. Seems to be a nice strength. We're going to test it here in a second. But that high G, that's really what you're looking for in the reeds here. You really want that high G to be right, not too sharp, not too shrill. That'll tell you a lot about the reeds. So this reed right here seems to be going really well so far. Go ahead and get my tuner going here. I'm going to be using the iStrobosoft tuner with the Sweeten for Bagpipes setting. That's available for iOS. For Android, the Bra tuner works really well as well. Remember, any tuner you're using, if you're going to be tuning each note, you either need one that's set up for Highland pipes, or you need to know how to use the tuner so that it tunes properly. The temperament of a bagpipe scale is not equal or even. It is in its own temperament. For further testing, I'm going to go ahead for both pressure and shape. I'm going to put it in my pressure gauge. So it's coming in 29-30. So this is definitely on the easy side, but it plays really well. This would be a great reed maybe to set up for a new player, or maybe an older player, or someone that just wants to play a 20-minute pibroch and not have to worry about it. So this seems like quite a nice reed, but it is pretty high-pitched. I often find with the easier reeds that they're higher pitched. This is coming in at 487, and my office right now is about 72, 73 degrees, so it's not overly hot in here. But see, by the time I bring that reed to a point where the low A is something reasonable, the high A is quite flat. Now, I don't mind seeing the high A trending slightly flat, but that was too much. So let's go ahead and sync it back to where it was and balance the octave as best we can. So that's coming in at 46, 48. It's pretty high. That's a pretty shrill reed, at least in terms of pitch, which is a shame because that high G is really quite lovely on it. Now, I might try to poke this open a little bit to both bring the strength up and maybe the pitch down, but that's going to be in the next step. Let's go on to reed number 4 here. Oh, kind of flat on that top note with where the hemp currently is. It's maybe not quite that much. Now we're back up to that 48 territory. I find in Texas during the summer, 485 is about as good as it gets, and often it's higher than that. But inside, I'd really 482, 43 would be preferred. Let's see if we can get there. High is just a little too flat. Put this pressure gauge on. All right, so it's coming in 484, 485, just a bit higher than I might like, but the pressure is 32, 33, kind of right where it should be for an easy medium. That said, part of me would prefer it to be maybe a 34 or so, because it is going to break in just a little bit. It's not going to break in as much as many people think, at least not in my experience, and not quickly. But it tends to go down 1 to 2 inches of water, which is what these pressure gauges tend to measure in. So, reed number 4 seems to be going pretty good. But that high G is a little shriller than the other one. I see it's trending up. I'm going to go ahead and just give this guy a poke. So I got my 2 reed pokers here. I have the Bagpipe Lessons Ultimate Reed Poker here, which I find is a good first step, but I also have just the other pokers that are available, which are quite a bit bigger diameter, and they both have their uses. We're going to start, though, with the Ultimate Reed Poker. And all I'm going to do is stick the reed on there until it stops on its own. I'm going to put my thumb about 2 millimeters below the reed, and I'm just going to push straight down. And out. And we'll see if that helped that high G at all. And it's about the same. Go ahead and give it another poke. Oh, it actually went up in pitch. That's interesting. But I've got to go ahead and use the other reed poker. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. The larger one tends to be like not round, but kind of flat. The flat should match the direction of the reed, but I do the same thing. I put it on there and I just push straight down. I don't tend to twist. I find twisting just tends to mangle everything up. Interesting. It's still going sharp. Go in with the ultimate one again, and I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive maybe. Trying to go straight down. And this one, because it's round, I am going to give it a twist just because I'm having a bit of a hard time moving it in there. That's, again, a pretty tough staple. That sharpened it back up. Let's go back in with this guy. I don't get any special treatment on reeds either, guys. They just send me reeds, and I can either make them work or I can't. So, it's not going great. See, it's even reading as a G sharp now. So, for now, we're going to stick this one to the side because poking it doesn't seem to be doing anything. All right, so far, let's keep track. We have reed number 1. That's going well, but it's pretty easy. It's well below the strength that I was expecting, and it's pretty high-pitched. That said, it sounds pretty nice if you don't mind a higher-pitched sound. Reed number 4, which was the second best in the group, at least on initial mouth testing, is having a really hard time with the high G and getting it into a nice pitch. The first reed, the high G, was quite lovely. We're moving on to reed number 2, and reeds number 2 and 3 are pretty open. Hopefully that means the high G will be good if I can even get this thing to sound. So before I test the high G, I want to make sure that that high A is in a reasonable realm. You know, the high G might sound nice and right where it should be. You know, it's a G natural, it's a flattened seventh. But then when you go to the A's crazy flat. So by the time you bring that high A in, the high G might have climbed quite a bit. So this is down to 480. This is quite a bit lower pitched. So it's not quite crowing on the top, but there is kind of a thin extra sound. Now let's test that high G. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. You see the G was pretty good. We're going to go ahead and stick this in the pressure gauge and get a number on this. Oh, and we got some crow even on that high G. So interesting, I couldn't make it crow by mouth, but it's crowing quite nice. Also, it's coming in at about 34, which is kind of where I'd want this to start. Okay, high is a bit shrill by mouth. Let's test it again with this on. Because the shape that the reed is in affects the pitch, tuning, timbre, and all that as well. So using some sort of either spare stock if you have one or a pressure gauge like this can be useful so that the reed is living in a much more similar environment it'll find itself in the pipes. I'm going to go ahead and pull that reed out just a little bit. So again, as you push the reed in, the entire chanter sharpens, but the top hand sharpens to a greater degree because you're adjusting the reed more. The ratio between the vibration on the reed and this hole is adjusted to a far greater degree than this one and down there. We seem to have a winner here. So it's seated well. I like where it's at. I'm going to go ahead and mark it with a bit of tape. What do you mean mark it? I'm going to take a piece of this bagpipe tuning tape. It's kind of like stage gaff tape if you've used that, but any kind of tape works. And I'm going to put it right at the base of the reed and wrap it around. I'm going to do this because I still want to test that other reed. So if you can see that, I know, black tape on a black reed. Good job, Matt. But when I take it out, I now know that, yeah, and the hemping, I'm probably going to have to re-hemp it anyways. It's kind of turned into a little nest. But if we look on there, you can see you would seat the, and of course you wouldn't do this with that all that nest in there. But when those are together, it'll be seated right where it needs to be. So reed number 2 is the winner so far. Reed number 3. This one's a little easier. The moisture that was on there has kind of soaked into the reed a little bit more. Definitely eased it up a bit. Now it's got that crow. Let's go to... That's just number 2. So these reeds were just really dry. I might have gotten lucky here, guys. This one's 33. So again, this is going to ease down to 30, 31, somewhere in that over time, which is just about perfect. It's pretty low though. That's 478. I'm going to mark that top of this reed the same way so I can reseat it. We're going to see if there's anything we can do to maybe help these other reeds. So we're going to go into reed number 1. We know it's high pitched and we know that it's a little bit easy. I'm going to give this one a poke, not for bringing the G in because the G was pretty nice, but to see if I can just open it up, bring the pitch down, bring the strength up, and see if we can't maybe bring it back to life even though it was brand new. Okay, a little poke, put it in here. Definitely recommend hearing protection, guys. It's pretty easy. If you have a particularly easy reed, you might want to consider maybe even trying to push it in a little bit more and seeing if you can bring your low A up to about 493. That's around a concert B. Wow, that's pretty shrill, I know. But if you have a friend that plays guitar, especially electric guitar, it goes great with it because our B Mixolydian scale is the same as an E major scale, and guitarists love playing an E. So it can still be useful to have a high-pitched reed if you're going to play with some other people. All right, so reed number 1 is, I don't really think it's going to respond very well to much more. I'm going to go ahead and give it a poke with the big guy. But I think it is what it is. It's an easy reed that's really high-pitched. And the G with some extra poking is actually starting to go the wrong way. So not much we can do with that. And reed number 4, with a little bit of time, moisture's kind of soaked in. Oh, and that G is, whoa. I'm going to just be nice and aggressive. And there's probably people out there reeling over this, but I'm going to go ahead and just really push this into there. Like, I have that thing well apart now. The blades are actually not even touching at the end with as far as I have it in there. To see if maybe that'll help get this reed opened enough to fix that G. Well, it's still sharp, but it's way better. Let's go ahead and do that again. I mean, what do you have to lose? The reed's not working as it is. The blades, the tips are looking, they're getting a much better distance. Oh, nice and kind of beefy now. Oh, well, look at that. Look at that, people. Go ahead and test this on the pressure gauge as well. So it's about 35, 36 right now. So the G is still sharp, and it's pretty hard. I'm going to just see how much tape I have to put on there. I don't want to really put more than a quarter of the hole covered in tape, because then your G grace notes just kind of go away and your high G gets super thin. And it's pretty low pitch now after that opening, 475. So needs to just be sunk overall. Back and forth, back and forth. I know, we haven't even stuck it in a bagpipe yet to test it. That's coming up. It's a little thinner. These other ones are definitely beefier sounding reeds. They got a little bit more projection for the amount of effort you're putting into the reed. That being said, though, with that extreme reaming, I mean, I was about to just throw this in the bin, but with that extreme reaming, I was able to make number 4 at least a passable reed, if a little on the deep side. We're going to go, the extreme worked for that one, so we're just going to go ahead and see how far we can get the reamer up this super easy reed over here. Because again, there's not much to lose. I don't need a reed that's this easy, and I certainly don't need a reed that's this high-pitched. I already have a Chanter set up in Concert B for when it's needed with a nice strength reed, not a super easy reed. This is 26. That is easy. But it's responding. Let's try one more big poke. Why not? It's brought the pitch down. It's still a little light in volume. But again, hey, it worked. This has been an interesting experiment so far. We had a couple reeds that were pretty hard to begin with, but with a little bit of water and some time, they came in right at the strength I was looking for. But most of you are going to find that your reeds are probably too hard, and even after softening them slightly with the water or whatever you might be using, it's still well above your ability to play. So I'm going to go find a crazy hard reed from my own collection, and we're going to see what we need to do to bring that in. Well, even with all the editing, this was still a long video, so I'm going to break this into a multi-part series. So today was all about using water and the reed pokers to bring a reed into pitch and the right pressure. The next video is going to be about using scraping and sanding techniques to help soften a reed that's crazy hard. And in the third episode, it'll be all about tuning the chanter while playing your full pipes. Thank you guys so much. If you got something out of this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps support all of the things that are going on here. If you want to go the extra mile, I do have a Patreon where a small monthly donation goes a long way to helping me afford to, buy 4 reeds at a time and, break them in on air for you guys. If you want more personalized instruction, I do give Skype lessons, so please contact me at www.mattpiper.com. There's more information there, and I'd love to hear from you. I look forward to editing the next couple of videos over the next few days and getting them all put together in a series that I hope helps you guys get your chanter reeds under control. I am Matt Willis, and until next time, cheers.